Okay, so we'll get started, and like I said, you could start either on your seat or you can lie down, your choice, either one. And we'll spend a few minutes here. So if you need to lay down tonight, lying down is a great option. If you're joining live, you're welcome to have your video on or off. That's your choice. And if you're enjoying the recording, yeah, starting on your seat or lying down. If you have a bolster, have that handy. If not, maybe a folded or rolled up blanket. Or you can even have a couple of smaller cushions. And any yoga props that you would use, have them handy as well. So either from your seat or lying down, take a couple clearing breaths here. In through your nose and out through your mouth. And you can continue to breathe in this way as long as you need. Letting your shoulders draw down away from your ears. Letting any tension release from your face and your jaw. And just start to settle into your body, bringing yourself fully here. And seeing with each breath if you can slowly release the thoughts in your mind and notice yourself here in this present moment, in your space, in your body, breathing. So just focusing on your breath. Tonight I'm going to breathe in and then let my exhale be a little bit longer than my inhale. Find a little bit of grounding and a little bit of surrender. And if you feel like you need that release, allowing your exhale to be as long as you need. And each time you notice a bunch of thoughts coming into your mind, bringing your awareness back to your breath. Sometimes I feel like it helps to listen to the sound of my breathing or count as I'm breathing in and count as I'm breathing out. And just allowing my awareness to move into my body in that way. You can notice the rising and falling of your breath. So feeling that expansion as you inhale, and then feeling that drawing in as you exhale. And staying with your breath for a little bit longer. And I'm just going to pause speaking. So just being with your breath here in this moment. there's an intention that you'd like to hold space for tonight, take a moment to draw that into your awareness. And if you have found yourself on your seat tonight, take the next few moments to move any cushions or support out of the way, and then we'll come to lie down on our backs to begin. And from your back, taking a moment either with your feet on the ground and your knees bent, or bringing your knees right up into your chest and creating some movement either way. So moving your knees from side to side, taking a couple clearing breaths. And if your knees are up towards your chest, you could make some circles here as well. And as you're ready, bringing your feet down if they're in towards your chest and extending your feet forward, reaching your arms overhead and stretching out from your fingers to your toes. And maybe a clearing breath or two here as well. And let's keep ourselves extended here and walk our feet over towards the left side of our mat, and also our upper body over towards the left. And you can keep your arms parted here. So try to keep the backs of your shoulders on the floor. You could perhaps grab your right wrist here as long as that keeps your shoulders and arms down. Breathing into your right side. And some of you might be able to cross your right ankle over top of your left. Connecting into your breath. And trying to soften the back of your body towards the floor as you breathe out. Taking one more breath here. Parting your arms and your feet, moving back to the center and walking your feet over towards the right side of your mat and your upper body also over towards the right side. And again, your arms may be parted here, just the backs of your arms are resting on the floor. Some of you may be able to grab your left wrist here. Couple big breaths. And you might even be able to cross your left ankle over your right. Letting the back of your body soften each time you breathe out. Couple more breaths here. Coming back to the center as you're ready. Excuse me. And this time bringing your feet down onto the floor, knees bent, feet a bit wider. And let's release our knees from side to side. And you could also take your arms out in line with your shoulders or resting beside you. And you're ready, coming back to the center. And let's hug both knees up towards our chest again for a moment and create a little bit of movement. I'm going to circle my ankles a few times, one direction and then the other. You're welcome to do that as well. You can even take your knees in opposing movements here. And then let's keep our right knee towards our chest. You can bring your left foot to the ground or extend your extend your left leg long. Right knee in towards your chest, maybe moving it wide to the side and pausing here, or making a little bit of movement, moving your knee wide, back to the center, and then wide again, and back to the center. A couple more times here. And then let's extend our left leg and shake out our feet a couple times. And then bring your left knee in. You can keep your right leg extended, or you can place your right foot on the floor with your knee bent. Just notice how that feels. And then keeping your knee in the center, or moving it wide, or making some movement here, bringing your knee to the center, and then wide again. And moving a bit here. And when you're ready, coming back to the center, extending both legs here. Shake out your feet, give yourself a full body stretch. And then we're going to make our way up to our seat. So any way that makes sense for you. And then we'll come around here into tabletop. So sometimes it's nice to have a folded blanket or some support underneath your knees, excuse me. And then we'll come into tabletop, hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Let's begin with cat and cow, arching and rounding and creating that movement through your spine to create some space. So linking your breath with the movement. Exhale to round. Inhale to lift your heart. And exhale to round. And keep moving with your own breath here. Then adding in some additional movement, some circles, some movement with your hips side to side. Then let's sit back on our heels for a moment. Let's tuck our toes under here. So this can be uncomfortable. So you could lean back as you are in this way with your toes tucked. You can even get that little pinky toe tucked a bit more. If you feel comfortable, you can start to sit up. Sometimes I use a block or a cushion block between my heels and my sit bones to lift up a bit higher. You can also do that. And again, this can be quite uncomfortable. So at any point, if you just want to lean forward and come on out. We'll try to spend a couple more breaths here. If you're feeling a lot of discomfort, of course, come out. But also know that this would be a good place to come, maybe daily for a while. I know when I was doing this more regularly, the rest of my body felt a bit more in alignment. So coming forward, and we're going to give our toes a little tap on our mat, and you can shake out your feet or wiggle your toes, or tap your feet on the floor again. Shake it out a little bit here. And let's come back to the center. Hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Okay, So we're going to move into child's pose. We're going to start with our knees a bit wider, and you could use your mat if you have your mat out as a gauge and extend our arms forward. So first option is to stay in the center. Second option would be to weave your right arm over towards the left, coming into a little bit of a twist here. Breathing into your right side and the back of your body. Exhale to relax through your arms and your shoulders. And let's rise, come back to the center and over to the other side. As you're ready, let's come back to the center. Let's bring our knees a little bit closer again. And we're going to come back up to tabletop, where you can move through cat and cow a couple times, or if you prefer, and you can come into downward facing dog for a few breaths as well. So option, downward dog, or tabletop, moving through cat and cow. And if you've come to down dog, walking it out a little bit here. And then either walking your feet to your hands or your hands to your feet. Let's roll up into a forward fold. Letting your head release and grab opposite elbows or let your arms hang. Couple big clearing breaths here. Letting the back of your body lengthen. Now let's take your time to ragdoll up, slight bend to your knees, pressing through your feet to lift all the way up. Coming up to stand. Stepping forward if you're at the front of your, if you're at the back of your mat. Let's take a breath in here. Reach your arms up overhead, and then exhale. Let's forward fold. We're going to pause for a moment. So either with blocks underneath your hands or hands to your shin, let's lift up halfway and pause here and breathe. Shoulders roll back, heart draws forward, sit bones moving back here. And a couple more breaths. And then let's exhale. Let's fold back in, let your head release, and then find an inhale to lift up halfway. And then exhale, folding back in. And one more time, inhale, lifting up halfway. And exhale, let's fold back in. Let's take a step back with our left foot and place our left knee down to the ground. I'm going to take a twist over towards the right. So start by moving my right knee a bit wider to the side, turning my toes out. If you have a block, you could even take a block underneath your left hand for a bit of height. We're going to turn towards our right leg, our front leg, shoulders back. You could stay with your hand on your leg, bring your hand to your hip, or reaching up here. Let's bring our hands down to the inside of our front foot for a moment. Couple breaths here, maybe a little bit of movement through your hips from side to side. And then let's move our front foot back so we're in tabletop. Hands underneath your shoulders, walk them forward slightly. And let's come to the front of our body. So lowering down in any way that makes sense for you here. Starting with your hands underneath your shoulders, shoulders rolling back. Take a slight lift up through your heart. Hands supporting you here. Core engaged, feet pressing down. And then let's lower down with our hands stacked. Let's draw our right knee up alongside of us. Take a couple clearing breaths. And settle the front of your body towards the floor. As you're ready, moving your leg back, hands underneath your shoulders. Let's rise up to tabletop, either moving right into a forward fold from here or through downward facing dog first. If you took downward dog, walking your feet or your hands towards one another and folding in. Couple clearing breaths here. And let's slowly rise. Let's come all the way up. And then let's step to the front of our mats again. And then take an inhale. Let's lift our arms overhead. Exhale. Let's forward fold again. And as you come down, let's take a halfway lift. Folding back in as you're ready. This time you could take your first two fingers on each hand in between your big toe and second toe, and then hook your fingers underneath your big toe, and then take a lengthen through your heart, and then a fold in. You could bend your elbows to the sides to draw yourself forward and down. And then releasing, take an inhale, lifting up halfway. Exhale to fold. Let's step a right foot back. Right knee comes down. Left foot walks a little bit wider and turn your toes out here. You could use a block underneath your right hand. We're going to turn towards our front left leg. Shoulders back. It could be here, hand on your hip, or reaching up. Connecting to your breath wherever it is that you are. Coming back to the center. Hanging out in the center for a moment. And then as you're ready, bringing your front foot back, and let's lower back down to the ground. Coming to the front of your body. So you can come into a low cobra again. You could bring your elbows and forearms to the floor for Sphinx pose. But if this feels a bit pinchy in your back, you'll want to lower yourself down a bit lower. For those of you that have bolsters, take the bolster underneath your rib cage and let your the pressure and the weight of your body come out of your shoulders here for Sphinx pose. Couple big breaths into the back of your body. Anyone that has a bit more flexibility in their back, You could bend your knees here as well. I feel like that lifts my pelvis off the ground a bit too much, so I'm going to stay here. And then as you're ready, lowering yourself back down, stacking your hands, take your other knee out to the side and gazing over to that side, resting your head as well. Breathing into the back of your body here. As you're ready, extending your legs back, hands underneath your shoulders. This time we're going to press back into child's pose again. You can choose wide knee child's pose if you like. And your choice to have your arms in the center or walk both your arms over to the left side for a bit of a twist. And you could also take your left arm alongside you because your right arm is crossing your body and you want to feel that stretch down the right side of your body here. Couple big breaths into the side, into the back of your body, letting the front of your body soften as you breathe out. As you're ready, coming back through the center, if you've taken that twist over to the other side, left arm reaching towards the right. And as you're ready, returning back to the center. You come back to forward fold, so either rolling up onto your feet or through downward facing dog. You're coming to down dog, taking a couple breaths in downward dog, and then back up to your forward fold here. And taking your time to ragdoll up to stand. And shoulders back, rolling them back and down a couple times. Depending on where you are on your mat, we're going to have our right foot stepped forward, left foot back. I'm going to actually have my blocks handy here. So if you have blocks, just have them close by. Right foot forward, left foot back. We're starting a warrior one stride. So hips forward, front knee bent, and I'm going to take a little bit of a heart opener today. So clasping my hands behind me, elbows drawing in. Or for those of you that can straighten your arms, you might want to straighten your arms here as well. Or take any other arm variation that works for you. And as you're ready, straightening out your front leg, hands come to your hips. Let's hinge forward and bring our hands down. You can also shorten your stride here a little bit, especially if your back heel lifts. Hands to blocks or hands to the floor, folding over your front leg and getting some length through the back of your legs here to free up your lower back a little bit. And when you're ready, stepping your back foot forward, coming into a forward fold for a breath or two here. And slowly ragdolling up to standing. And then let's step our right foot back, bending into our front knee. So you can take that same arm variation or anything else that helps to open up some space for you. So it might be palms facing forward or goddess arms, whatever you need to do here to create a bit of space for you. Keeping your back heel anchored though, bending into your front knee. And then let's release our hands to your hips, hinging forward, and blocks or no blocks, folding in. Again, you can adjust your stride a little bit here. Connecting to your breath. And then as you're ready, stepping forward into that forward fold, perhaps bringing your feet even wider, just a slight bit wider here, and folding in. And then taking your time, let's come all the way up to standing. Let's take our feet facing the long edge of our mat. We're going to take one more standing pose. We'll take a wide-legged forward fold here, creating a bit of space through the back of our body, but also through the inner lines of our legs. Let's take a breath in here, and then let's forward fold. As you fold, adjust your stride as you need. You might want to shorten it, you might want to lengthen it. You can also have a block or two as support for your hands. And some of you might fold in a little bit further even. Connecting into your breath. Letting go as you breathe out. As you're ready, let's lift up halfway, and then let's come all the way up to standing. Walking or stepping your feet in a little bit, shaking it out, circling your ankles, or shifting around as you need to. So we're going to take squat pose on our way down to our seat, and a couple options. You could take a half squat, resting your elbows above your knees. For those of you that have blocks, you can stack your blocks and come to sit down on your blocks here. Or come into squat pose fully. connecting into your breath. Now, you can come out of squat pose or stay for another breath or two. And as you're ready, lowering down, extending your legs forward, shaking out your feet, or having your feet on the ground and releasing your knees a few times side to side here. Okay. I'm going to sit up on a block. If you have a block or a folded blanket, come to sit on the front edge. So we're going to come into a couple hip openers that I'm going to give a couple options and stages for. First option, right leg over top of your left with your knee bent here. I'll move to the side after. So my front knee is bent, foot's off to the side. You could sit up on a block here. You could keep your bottom leg extended and fold forward, and you're going to feel a deep stretch through the back of your bottom leg. And some of you might be able to also bend your bottom leg, stacking your legs here. And you just have to adjust a little bit. And if your right sit bone is quite lifted, you could take a block underneath here. And some of you may also be able to fold forward without lifting up through your sit bones. And we're going to pause and breathe. So either way, you're folding forward with your and feeling that stretch through your bottom leg, or both knees are bent and you're feeling that hip opener here. Relaxing into your shoulders. And as you're ready, let's release both of our legs forward. Let's move our feet from side to side. Or again, it may feel good to have your feet on the ground, move your knees side to side a few times here. And then the second side might feel different. So you might start with your left knee on top this time. And you might lean forward here and hang out here. Big stretch for the back of your bottom leg. And some of you may also bend your bottom leg. Now, if this is not possible, keep your bottom leg straight. And then we're going to hang out here and breathe. Again, relaxing into your shoulders, connecting into your breath. And wherever it is that you are, we'll lift back up and we're going to release. Letting that go in any way that makes sense. A little bit of movement from side to side usually helps. So either pigeon pose or figure four pose. So for those of you that feel comfortable in pigeon, bringing one knee forward and wide to the same side as your hip. And if that creates pressure in your knee, or you just know that pigeon doesn't work for you, coming onto your back for figure four. Either way, we'll be here for a little bit of time to settle in tonight. So especially if you're in figure four and you want to release your hands for a bit and then come back in, you could do that a couple times. And then settling into whichever variation you're coming into and connecting into your breath here. And of course, if you have a bolster and you want to support yourself with the bolster, for those of you in pigeon, there's lots of options for bolsters here, or not. Just a couple more breaths here. So finding a release that works for you. So that might mean child's pose, that might mean some movement, whatever it is that you need before coming to the other side. And then as you're ready to come to the other side, making your way in, knowing that we'll be here for a little bit of time on this side as well, settling in. Figure four, pigeon, connecting into your breath. Taking a couple more breaths here. And as you're ready, coming out of the side and creating some movement for yourself, or finding child's pose. If you're in pigeon pose, actually, let's make our way onto our back as you're ready. So just finding that little bit of release coming onto your back. And if you have a yoga strap, bring that with you. And if you don't, no worries about that. When you do come onto your back, before we use the strap, give a little bit of movement to your legs, knees side to side or knees up into your chest, and move a bit here. And then if you have a yoga strap, take the strap around the bottom of your right foot. If you don't, extending your right foot up towards the ceiling anyways, you can interlace your hands behind your legs. So between your knee and your sit bones, and flexing your toes here. Again, the strap just helps to, you can bring your hands down and relax the backs of your shoulders a little bit more and press up through your heels. You pull the strap down and feel that stretch come along the back of your leg. Your left foot can stay on the floor, and of course you can always extend it out long if you like as well. Connect to some breathing. And you're welcome to stay here in the center, or take your left hand high up on towards your right foot. Bring your foot in and across your body just a millimeter or centimeter or two. Do you feel a stretch without lifting up the back, your lower back here? Coming back to the center. And if you have a strap on your foot, let's switch sides this way by bringing your other foot into the strap. If you don't, you'll just bring your foot down and extend your other leg up. So interlacing your hands behind your knee or holding the strap and bringing your hands down so your shoulders rest more. Always keep your right foot on the ground or extend your right leg long here. And we'll connect into our breath here again. Couple big breaths. Couple clearing breaths here. You can stay here. You can bring your right hand high up towards your left foot and bring your foot in and then just slightly across. You should feel something hopefully through the side of your hip, side of your leg. And back to the center where we'll release. And you can extend your legs and shake them out, or hug your knees back into your chest and rock a little bit here. Now, if you have a bolster, you can use a bolster for this next posture. If you don't, no worries. Some of you may want to roll up a blanket, but you can also lay flat on your back. I'm going to use a bolster tonight. And then for bound angle, feet together, knees wide. Now, if you're on a bolster and you know that you're going to get a little bit of tension in your lower back, you could also take a soft cushion block underneath your sacrum here as well. And then no matter where you are, bolster, laying flat on the ground, draw your shoulder blades underneath you slightly here. And then breathing into your belly and into your heart space. So finding that the breath moving in and then softening back out. And letting the back of your body Soften into the space on the ground or the space into the bolster. So you just stay here for about another minute, but if you need to come out sooner, know that you could bring your feet to the ground or extend your legs long here. Connecting to your breath. Letting go and surrendering into anything that's holding or creating tension. More breaths here. And slowly bringing your knees back towards one another. And you can extend your legs long. You release your feet from side to side. You can give yourself a full body stretch here. And you can roll to your side or lift yourself upright. We're going to take a twist. So you can choose to twist on the bolster for those of you that know how to do that. You'll take a hip and then fold over the bolster. I'm going to come onto my back again. Taking your hips to the left side, let's bring our knees up and over to the right, settling our legs down, and let's extend out through our arms if that's comfortable. If it's not, keeping your arms closer to your body and keeping your head in the center as well. Breathing into the side of your body here. Some full breaths in and full breaths out. And then as you're ready, coming back to the center and twisting over to the other side, or if you're on your bolster, switching sides. Coming back to the center. One last movement in the center. Could be happy baby, could be knees to chest, it could be something else, maybe bridge pose. Finding whatever else that you need for maybe about 4 or 5 breaths here. And then as you're ready, we'll release. And give yourself a moment to set up for Shavasana. So that could be a blanket, a sweater, using any props that you need. And I invite you to lay down in a way that's comfortable. And if it's not comfortable to lay down, making your way up to your seat. And then once you get settled in, take a couple deep breaths. And give yourself permission to let go and to just be here. Very slowly begin to deepen your breath. Create some gentle movement with your body. And perhaps give yourself a full body stretch or bring your knees up into your chest and move a bit here. And as you're ready, make your way onto your side for a moment and then come back up. Come up to your seat, where we'll take a moment with our breath. Taking a couple deep breaths of gratitude here into your heart space. Giving yourself thanks for being here tonight. Anything else that you'd like to bring awareness in your life that you're grateful for. And I'm definitely grateful for all of you for joining me. And I wish you a peaceful evening. Namaste. Thanks, everyone.